5 people.
Tonight, President Trump is denying he ordered his former lawyer, Micheal Cohen, to break the law.
I never directed him to do anything wrong. Whatever he did on his own. He's a lawyer. A lawyer who represents a client is supposed to do the right thing. That's why you pay them a lot of money.
But prosecutors say President Trump, identified in court documents as Individual 1, directed and coordinated hush money payments with Cohen to 2 women who claim they had sexual encounters with Mr. Trump. Claims he and his aides deny. And tonight, a person familiar with the matter tells NBC News in August 2015, candidate Trump was in the room when Cohen and National Enquirer publisher David Pecker discussed ways Pecker's company, AMI, could help quash negative stories about Mr. Trump's relationships with women. Prosecutors say AMI later wrote a check to Karen McDougal for her story, but never printed it, a practice known as catch and kill. Cohen was sentenced Wednesday to 3 years in prison for campaign finance violations, as well as tax and bank fraud. The president tonight arguing his mistake was ever hiring him.
In retrospect, I made a mistake because what he did was all unrelated to me, except for the 2 campaign finance charges that are not criminal and shouldn't have been on there. They put that on to embarrass me. They put those 2 charges on to embarrass me.
But President Trump also appeared to undercut his defense that Cohen was acting as his attorney.
Title of very low-level work.
Why did you need him?
He did more public relations than he did law, but he did stuff. You'd see him on television, and he was okay on television.
And tonight, the Wall Street Journal is reporting, according to people familiar with the matter, that federal prosecutors are investigating President Trump's inaugural committee, including whether it misspent donations. Late tonight, the White House said that investigation has nothing to do with the president or the First Lady.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.